Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm a day late with this review. I had a busy day yesterday, but let's get straight into it. I'm going to cover most of the fights, or at least the bigger fights, in just like a highlight fashion, because it was a long day of boxing yesterday. That was a great card yesterday, 23rd. It's Christmas Day today, and greetings to everybody. I hope everyone's having a good time, enjoying whatever you're celebrating and having fun with your family or wherever you are. But the 23rd was an epic day. That was an epic card, just non-stop. It was great, and I had the fights on, but I wasn't going to sit there for 6 hours and watch boxing for that long. So I can touch on a few of the fights. Let's start with the AJ fight, actually. Obviously the main event. It was great to see AJ looking relaxed and confident, and boxing with self-belief, really, and fizzing out those jabs, pushing Wallin back. I wanted AJ to come out on the front foot and just be assertive, basically, from the opening bell, and he did that. Now Otto Wallin didn't appear to have much desire, or the Wallin that showed up against Fury, where Andre Wood said, he didn't have that deer in the headlight moment. He was rising to the occasion, and he was taking the bull by the horns. The exact opposite was in this fight. He really was like a shell of himself, really. High guard, backing off. He looked nervous, and look, that part, obviously a lot of it was probably down to AJ. They'd obviously had previous fights together, and that's a big reason probably for AJ being as comfortable as he was. Watching one of your videos, Hatman, shout out to you. That's a great point. I think the familiarity was a massive part of it. Why they took that fight, really and truly, is really good matchmaking. If you think about it, a lot of people were wondering about the southpaw thing, me included. I picked AJ to win on like a decent performance-ish on points. I think I put down, but I thought he shouldn't be losing to Wallin. But I didn't have him having a resurging performance like this, I suppose, where he did exhibit some of just some not, when I say the old AJ, not with that knocking people out, just that self-confidence and self-belief. And he had more looseness to him, and a part of that, well, I said pre-fight, I was like, if Ben Davison gets a performance out of AJ, I think he should be considered for Trainer of the Year. I don't think he should win it, just to be clear, but he should be in the conversation when you look what he does to fighters. And I think a part of it is, I think Ben Davison, obviously he gets the tactics bang on the money. I spoke about that in the pre-fight, where he did with Lee Wood, and Lee Wood, got caught against Lara in the first fight, but that's boxing, and it was Lee Wood's fault. Then they carried on with the same game plan. They got the win back. Then they, they got the win against Warrington. I didn't see the full fight, so I can't really comment. But the Wardley Adelaide fight, he got a great game plan for that, and they just knew exactly what to do. And the same with this, with Wallin. I was like, you got to give Ben Davison credit. But the main thing, I think, is what he probably said to AJ: just go out and be yourself. Just relax and be yourself. Because when I say that, if you watch how he was under Derek James is like, high guard like that, and made him a bit more tense, which is his style. I get that. But to me, and then Robert Garcia drilling him with certain, military type instructions. And I think Ben Davison's like, look, bro, he's just boosting him up and say, look, you're great, you're good at this, you're good at that. Just relax and be yourself. Because AJ's always fancied himself as quite a loose, slick fighter. He's mentioned that in the past before. He's not a slick fighter, but I think in the deep down he wants to be, and that involves just dropping your hand, flashing the jab, being calm, being relaxed. And that's what I saw from him. And I think Ben Davison, it just, that saying was like, there's too many cooks in the kitchen with AJ, but it just sounds like he wasn't trying to be a cook. He's just like a friend, and I'm not saying a friend, I'm just saying, look, bro, just relax, take it easy, just go out there and enjoy yourself. You're better than him, you should be able to do this. Here's the game plan, we'll get you prepared mentally, physically, and just go out there and be yourself. And that's a good performance from AJ. And then Otto Wallin quit in the 5th. Well, I don't know, like it, yeah, you know how I feel about quitting. I just think that if we're going to keep not going in so hard on fighters, where look, Wallin, I've said this before, it's a fine line between me just wanting people to go out there and get their face punched in and get themselves psychologically damaged, but he didn't show an ounce of courage in that whole fight. And that's what it's called. It's called a fight. So when there's a bit of adversity, I'd like to see fighters fight. You know, but corner stoppage. We're just going to usher in more of these quits as a sport. So it's just going to be tolerated. And I think there was, you know, if he's not ever going to win, was he in that stage? Yeah, if AJ won every round, and then I think it was the fifth, and he was starting to land those hard shots. I get it. Yeah, he was getting out. He was getting, you know, out punched, out maneuvered, just out everything. But it didn't look like he even really tried to win at one point at all. So you got to try. Do you know what I mean? That's my point. Like if you try and you're like, man, I cannot beat this dude. Like, but he didn't even try. So yeah, amazing for him, Otto. But anyway, Deontay Wilder looked horrendous. Okay, that's the worst I've ever seen him. He actually, for me, I thought Wilder was going to win on points. I mean, how wrong was I? How wrong were we when we picked Wilder to win? It never even looked remotely close like he was going to actually land that backhand, which is what the only thing he was trying to do. But he looked like he was generally, I'm not even joking, like I was wondering if he was just going to fall over every time he maneuvers. Like he looked so unstable. He looked like one of those Thunderbirds. I'm not trying to make fun of the guy. I just think that's the worst I've seen him. And I think where I'm going with this is I think because of it, he was doing so much lateral movement, which before the fight, I did say, I was like, Wilder, he's going to probably come out on the back foot and use a lot of lateral movement, and he's going to be very safety first, because I just thought that those fights had taken so much out of him. And, you know, I kind of understand how much fights can take out of you. And, you know, he can't be that ferocious guy himself. He's got the power, but even his counter punching ability, if you can even call it that, was shot to pieces. He never looked like he was going to land that right hand. You could see it a mile coming. Joseph Parker, look, we got to give him more credit. I'll get onto him in a sec, but Wilder he generally looked like he was going to fall over. He was so uncoordinated. And when you are moving and you decide to do the lateral movement, it's way harder for your feet to set and then punch, you know, because he was always constantly on the move. Normally Wilder doesn't move that much. He's right here, and then, like, you know, it's like kind of reminded me of Regis. Totally different reason, but Regis enjoys his flat-footedness because that's the style he's at. But where Wilder, when he's not moving, it suits his feet because they're not constantly readjusting. Every time you're readjusting your feet, Wilder's balance was just so off. It takes him so much longer to gain his structure to be able to punch. And when you're moving laterally, you've got to be very good at doing that. It's not easy lateral movement. You have to have good feet, and he doesn't. So his game plan was negating his own ability to punch, really. But Joseph Parker, big up to him. I thought it would be a bit of a dead fight, but I thought Parker would just do a little bit less. But they came out with a purpose. He wanted to be first. This is what he said: be on the front foot, and they're backing him up and just be first. And you know, he was applying a lot of neat, tidy pressure, but he was also doing some cute things defensively, ducking that right hand when it needed to, being aggressive when he needed to, and he boxed a great fight. You know, he surprised me. Big up Joseph Parker, because I'd mentioned before I wasn't really thrilled about seeing him anymore. But, you know, he came in, he looked sharp at the weigh-in too, and I started to question my pick, and I saw him, I was like, all right, he's taking this really seriously, because I just thought he was going through the motions. You know, the face-off just had lackluster, and his press conferences just like whatever. It just seemed like he wanted to just get out of the way and get a paycheck, and I thought it would be nip and tuck, and Wilder would, you know, be a little bit better than that. It was a lot better than that, but I thought both would be very safety first and they would cancel each other out. But Parker, he wanted to win that fight. He came out with a purpose, and fair play to him. So I'm not sure what Deontay Wilder does from now. You can't take 2 years out the ring and not, while you're taking the 2 years out the ring, do what he's been doing, which is the that brew from Amazon, the ayahuasca or something like that. That's like, look, he's in a happy place, you know. That's awesome for him, but that's the exact, like, the farthest away from boxing or, you know, being a warrior is doing what he was doing. So inactivity, age as well. He's 38, and he just Tyson Fury's losses took a lot out of him, man. They really did. You can tell he ain't the same person, really. But I wish him well. The AJ fight's probably done, and Joseph Parker. Well, there's talks about Parker and AJ. It doesn't thrill me, to be honest. And then I was thinking maybe Andy Ruiz was in the building yesterday. Yes, I keep saying yesterday, the 23rd. That's an all right fight, I suppose. The AJ Ruiz 3, but it still doesn't get me that excited. Obviously, Fury and Usyk are going. The winner of that you'd like to think AJ would be in the mix for that. I don't know. I suppose him and Parker would make a little bit of sense, and then the winner of that would fight the winner of Fury and Usyk. But yeah, I don't know. Let's get on to the Dubois Miller fight. Listen, first of all, massive props to Daniel Dubois. That was a great performance, and I was so happy for him. I was like, wow, man, he really deserved it, and he fought a great fight. It's the best I've seen him. Under pressure from a big, massive guy, and you could see straight away he was giving out some nervous energy. The first round was kind of exactly how I thought it would go, but I didn't think Dubois would be so nervous. But I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to last. And then, you know, Miller didn't really cut the ring off, but he was applying a lot of pressure, psychological pressure. Cutting the ring off does also just include being there and making your opponent work and making them, you know, feel like, you know, oh, this guy's coming for me. That's the psychological, mental pressure that Miller was putting on. He wasn't really throwing any punches. I think probably if he'd have done that for 2 or 3 more rounds and saved his energy, he'd probably have a better chance, because his offense is quite bad. He was losing his shape. He looked really bad later. But Daniel Dubois, look, what a performance. I mean, he was boxing and moving and jabbing and fighting him when he could. And like, Miller's 100 pounds bigger than him. And, you know, he just fought a great fight. But then in the 4th round, I think Miller caught him with a left hook. And I just thought to myself, wow, this fight is, I'd be surprised if Dubois made it out now. But then it got to the point, and Dubois' energy never dropped. He kept coming out with the next round, and he was back on his jab, and he was back fighting him a little bit, and he was landing some clean shots, and the tide started to turn for Dubois. I think it was a 5th or 6th, and he never dropped in his energy. I'm like, wow, how is this guy still going out there on the back foot, moving around? Obviously, that's his youth, but he was in great shape to deal with that, to deal with the pressure, the size of the man, getting hit himself, you know, getting bullied a little bit, and having a physically massive guy to fend off of you is a bit more draining. Emmanuel Stewart has always talked about that, fighting a bigger man, you know. It just takes a lot more out of you, you know. You probably want to throw harder shots. So those little harder shots that you're throwing are going to take more out of you, and just the physicality of someone on you like that. But Miller couldn't get his offense going, really, because his offense really relies on dragging you into that, you know, that phone booth situation. But Dubois wasn't there for long enough, and when he was there, he could still hold his ground a little bit, you know. He's a strong dude. And then Miller got his day of reckoning. Now, I did pick Miller to win in the stoppage, but I'd also said, you know, with the way the term is about, you know, how, I forget what it was, but the day of reckoning, Miller got his, and he got his comeuppance, and, you know, hopefully he can express and move forward and be, you know, a bit more forgiving and a bit more moral. Do you know what I mean? Because it was the moment where you realise that the bully, and then he got knocked out at the end, and it's like, you deserve that, you know. And Daniel Dubois, I tell you what, it's been a while since I've seen a fighter reverse their DNA just like that, you know. When you talk about quitters, especially when he's quit twice, and I picked him, I thought he was going to quit again, and it looked like it was going to be in that kind of thing, and he turned his whole DNA and identity round. in one fight, in an epic performance, in an epic show of heart and courage, boxing ability, intelligence, stamina. I mean, it was just a fantastic performance from Daniel Dubois, and he's going to be back in the mix with some amazing fights. Him and AJ, that's a hell of a fight, actually, thinking about it. That's a great fight. That would really set the cat amongst the pigeons, as they say. So, big up to Dubois, and as I said, Miller, he got his comeuppance, he got his day of reckoning. Where does he go? I have no idea. But look, one thing I want to say as well, a lot of fighters were you know, Lyndon Arthur too. I won't really touch on the Bivol fight because I had it on in the background, but I wasn't watching it. I just exactly, I think, one-sided. Arthur jabbing on the back foot and then not showing much ambition. But what I'm going is like Miller and Arthur were like, look, we only had 4 to 6 weeks to prepare. But here's the thing, you should be here's a saying that I learned in the gym recently. You don't go in camp to get in shape. You go in camp to get sharp. So you should be in shape all year round. And I'm not saying Arthur wasn't, but he was kind of throwing it out there that he'd only had 4 weeks to prepare. So did Bivol. But it's like with Miller, was like, oh, you know, only had this, and fine, yeah. Same with Dubois. But Dubois, I know he fought Usyk, but as a professional fighter, you've got to be in shape all year round. You know, you've got to be where you can get to the point, you get the call and you're ready to go, you know, or you get sharp. You don't just like, you get sharp for that fight, or you have to, tighten up a few things, but you're ready. You could fight because you're in shape and you're disciplined all year round. And that's the difference. And that was another part of that difference in the Dubois-Miller fight. Dubois keeps himself in the gym. He's a boxing fanatic, do you know? He loves it. And that showed. And it showed for Miller. Obviously, he started getting, real sloppy. But it's his out of the ring discipline, if you ask me. Obviously, he didn't have those PEDs either. But you know, I was happy to see Dubois, you know, victorious, and it is what it is. But hopefully Miller can, you know, look at moving on and being a better person, basically. Right, who else is there? Yeah, the Caballero fight, I had that on. That was a great performance. That was definitely an upset. It was a great upset. You could see that. I can't remember the guy's name. Magdamarov? Is that his name? The big caveman looking dude. Look, his footwork is shockingly bad too. So Caballero was obviously doing a lot of lateral movement, and he was buying his time. And then when you have someone with that bad footwork and they have longer arms too, the safer zone obviously is laterally, or in his chest, which is where he got to in the end later. But you also have to have the bravery and the courage to breach that area and actually believe in yourself, and, like, you know, bite down on your gum shield type thing and into that zone. But once he did, he was on his chest. He was landing body shots as well. Didn't get too greedy, and it was just a great performance. And, you know, he really took down that big beast. I wish I could go into more detail. Like I said, I had the show on and I was watching bits and pieces, so I don't want to say things that, you know, are complete nonsense because I didn't really watch the whole fight like that. That's a lot of time to be watching boxing. And then I think I've missed one fight, maybe. I think I covered them all. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jaya Bhatia. First round knockout, wiped him out. That was I mean, he looks just so angry right now. You know, I think the him getting stripped, honestly, this might sound a bit crazy, was probably the best thing that happened to him. 1, he gets a massive payday. 2, he gets a highlight reel knockout on the biggest card of the year, or the biggest card in history supposedly. But it was certainly an epic card, and he got an epic knockout, highlight reel, boosted his name, got his name out there. Now he's going to be able to fight for a belt again soon. He's going to get that. He's already a world champion. That's something he's already achieved. I know he broke his jaw to get that, so it meant a lot to him, that belt. But he's in a better position now, I think. And I'm about to make a video on him being a sparring partner for Tyson Fury, because I think there's nobody better, nobody more perfect than Jaya Bhatia for Tyson Fury. Question is, will they bring him in? And then I think that's it. But yeah, I've got a couple more videos coming out in the next couple of days when I have a bit. I've got to go and celebrate this day. I'm not really, you know, like in Christmas like that. I just like the festivities. I think, you know, people were more spirited this time of year. If we had people's behaviour this time of year all year round, the world would be a better place. So I'm going to go and have a good time with my missus, and I hope you guys enjoy yourself too. Peace and love. Boxing on the Edge.